Dear students, in the previous module on arson, you have already studied about arson, which means it is the willful or intentional or malicious burning of property, and that is called as arson. Numerous motives are involved in malicious burning or arson. For example, for getting the insurance advantage, or if murder is, then to hide the scene and others. All this we have studied already in the previous module. We have also studied that fire is nothing but it is a combination of fuel plus oxygen plus heat, that is, these are the three components of fire, and we had represented it by a triangle. We have also studied that out of these three components, if any one of the components is eliminated, it will be ceasing the fire, that is, the fire will be stopped. We also studied about the four different classes of fire, that is class A, class B, class C and class D. In class A fire, the solid materials like paper, wood, lumber or cloth are there in the fire. Class B fire involves the flammable liquids like oils, paints, grease, gases. The class C fire involves the fire due to electric, that is faulty fuse boxes, frayed wires, overloaded electrical outlets and so on. And the class D fire involves the use of combustible metals. You had also studied that initial or incipient burning phase refers to the temperature 1000 degree Fahrenheit, that is 537 degrees centigrade range. Then there is a free burning phase or flaming fire where the temperature exceeds 1300 degree Fahrenheit, that is 700 degrees centigrade, and it keeps on burning in this phase. And there is a smoldering phase of fire where the temperature near 1000 degrees Fahrenheit is there, that is 537 degrees, but how it is different, there is a smoke or the smoldering phase and you do not see the actual fire, but at these temperature you have the smoldering. Now we shall continue this study of arson in this module also. Look at the learning outcomes. After studying this module, you shall be able to know how to perform a fire investigation, what are the key responsibilities of investigating officer at the scene of crime, what is the intention and motive behind fire, and we will be able to evaluate and you will be able to look at the significance of evidence or clue materials collected from the scene of crime. So dear students, let us begin the study of this module with fire investigation. To probe a fire incident, the investigating officer must find out the detail about the time of incident, temperature, point of origin of fire, the fuel used and the ignition source. Investigating officer must learn how long the fire burned before it was brought under control and also assess the amount of damage compared to the time involved. A great deal of damage in a relatively short time should tip you to the possibility of accelerants, multiple fire sets or a deliberately arranged draft. Extreme high heat in the areas with little fire load may indicate that an accelerant was present. Investigating officer need to discover the point where the fire started. It is here you will find the cause. If you cannot find out where the fire started, you will not find out why it started. So it is very, very important that you should know where it started and what is the cause. Investigating officer also need to probe that what material first ignited. Would this material be found naturally at the point of origin? And if not, why was it there? And you must probe what caused the fuel to ignite. Was the heat source natural to this area? If not, why was it there? Flammable petroleum products such as petrol, kerosene, diesel, etc. are the commonly used acceleratants in fire or arson cases that we have already studied. So, keeping the earlier modules knowledge in mind, you have to investigate the crime scene. Arson investigation is a highly complex process involving much vital work in a short period of time. Valuable and perishable evidence may be lost forever if it is not recognized and preserved immediately. Thus, an immediate response to fires and a close liaison with the fire department are the essential elements of an arson investigation. Your close liaison with the local fire department can ensure that you are notified immediately of any suspect or unusual fires in the area. So, once you go there along with the fire department, you have to then investigate and find out all the cause, where it started, and all this we will be studying in detail. To investigate a fire, you must find out 5 things, that is time, temperature, the point of origin of the fire, fuel and ignition source. You must learn how long the fire burned before it was brought under control and assess the amount of damage compared to the time involved. A great deal of damage. When you arrive to the crime scene of arson, do not attempt to enter the burning building. Fire department personnel, they are trained to fight fires and they are properly equipped to do so. So, rather than you, it should be the fire department personnel who should go inside and first close the fire, and then only you should proceed, because you are not equipped to handle how to fight with fire. Now, in the unlikely event if you arrive at the scene before the fire department, then enter the burning building only to save a human life. If you must enter, take several deep breaths before entering the fire area. While inside, hold your breath for as long as possible. But do not wait so long that you must take in a whole lung full of air at once. You might inhale dangerous fumes, because when the fire is burning, it contains so many poisonous gases like carbon monoxide also, and that is how they can be very, very dangerous to you. So, you have to first be vigilant yourself, save yourself, then only you will be able to help others. Keep low, as the air will be better and cooler near the floor. So, when you are moving in, move with either bending down. Do not ever enter a closed burning building if the smoke is dirty looking and the building creaks and groans. If you even open a door under these circumstances, you will cause a backdraft explosion and that can burn you like anything. So, this is the very important precaution that you have to take, and repeat here that you should always take the firefighting personnel along with you. They should enter first, stop the fire, and then you should go as the investigating officer. Now, moving how the investigation has to be done. So, we will see what are the duties of investigating officer at the scene of crime. Once the investigating officer is appointed to investigate a live or post-fire crime scene, he or she must pay attention on rescue of the injured person and protection of the crime scene by the way of barricading and roping. After this, you should note the climatic conditions since fire. Make a note on the climatic conditions like cloudy or sunny or rainy, and also the current, that is the direction of the wind, whether it is hot or cold. So all these should be immediately noted. Sometimes the sunlight focus through glass has been known to start fires. Arsonists may use ignition devices triggered by moisture to enable them to establish alibis for the time of the fire. Also mention the nature of the fire, that is whether it is slow or fast when the IO has arrived at the scene of crime, and make a recording and sketch of the whole crime. And nowadays in the digital world, you can also make the video recording and must take the still pictures so that you have all these records with you. Photography at every point of interest should be done because it is the best permanent record for interpretation of evidences or the crime scene or the injury proof. Then the another step you have to take is the statements from the eyewitnesses or the victims and the owner of the property. So you should make a record of all the statements given by them. If they are describing how the fire has taken, or have they seen some person going away from the crime scene who may be responsible for the fire initiation, and so on. The next thing you have to do is you have to notice if the fire is burning fast, is this consistent with the type of fire load or content present in the building. If not, suspect the use of an accelerant. Fire burns up and out, and you have studied earlier that it leaves a V-shaped char pattern on the walls and the vertical structures, normally in case of natural or accidental fire. A fire which is hot and fast at the point of origin will leave a sharp V pattern. A slow fire will produce a shallow V. If fire meets an obstruction such as ceiling, it will burn across the obstruction looking for a place to go up. Fire travels with air currents, remember. So this V-shaped pattern will be very helpful in tracing the origin of fire, and the moment you see this V shape, you should take a picture or make a video and try to see from which direction the fire had originated and to which direction it has moved. As you can see in this visual shown, you can see there is a V-shaped pattern on this wall. Moving further, in live fire case investigation, you also have to note the color of smoke arising out from building or the scene of crime. And this color of smoke gives a good idea about the type of material which is burning. For example, wood smoke is usually grey to brown. At times through black may show where the air supply is poor or the wood is green. It is highly unlikely that a dry wood fire will show much black smoke, that will be more of yellow color and there won't be much smoke. White clouds appearing before firefighting operations begin indicate moist substances are burning. Reddish brown or yellow smoke indicates burning of products having nitrocellulose base, and these nitrocellulose base are there in the explosives. The presence of reddish brown or yellow smoke where materials of this type are not usually found may indicate such a substance was an accelerant. Greyish smoke is produced by loosely packed substances such as straw or hay, which gives off flying soot and ash. Looking at more type: oil, gasoline, creosote, tar, paint and similar other organic materials with a petroleum base, they usually burn with a black smoke, because most of them have the aromatic hydrocarbons and they will be coming with a black smoke. And this is of particular importance in arson because such materials are commonly used to start fire. So, although they will not be naturally present at that scene, but someone will bring them intentionally and initiate the fire with these materials, because these petroleum based organic compounds, they catch fire very immediately. Another thing that you have to notice and make record of is the temperature of the fire scene can be evaluated by clue materials, like is there any molten glass or otherwise glass, because every metal or material have different range of melting point. For example, copper fuses at 1980 degree Fahrenheit, which is very high. Therefore, if we find fused copper or beaded copper wires, because after burning they will form round beads of copper wires, and if we find fused copper or beaded copper wires, we can get immediately alert, because there will be an unusual high temperature that can be explained with this. The normal burning of a structure would not cause temperatures in the 2000 degree Fahrenheit range, which is necessary to fuse or melt copper. Now, what could be the cause of copper to fuse or melt? So, this question should come in your mind. The burning of an accelerant such as flammable liquids, that is natural or LPG gases, or electrical shorts or arcing is some of the causes for high heat, meaning excessive temperatures. And when you are detecting and noting down the temperature of the fire scene, you can put them in the category as shown in this graphic or visual. That is, whether the temperature there is low to moderate, or it is high, or it is very high, or severe, or extreme, or catastrophic. So, this is how the behavior of fire you can notice. Further on, you can examine the area carefully for traces of flammable accelerants. That is, what are the likely material which could have been used to initiate or accelerate the fire. This is very important, because if these materials are not likely to be available there naturally, then there is a malified intention. You can clearly find that these things or materials have been brought intentionally by someone and the fire has been initiated. Sometimes ignition devices like matchbox or cigarette lighters or buds are dropped by arsonists in their haste, and if you spot them, note their positions. Photograph them in place before seizing them for evidence, and when you are collecting, you collect everything in the bags, and you have to use gloves because fingerprints on them will be very important. So, as you carefully preserve them, later on they can be sent for fingerprint comparison, or you can analyze them through the fingerprint analysis. Further on, also observe the odor at place of occurrence, because odor is additional clue to identify the burning substances, and for this you can do some practice as a practical. You try burning these different materials and try to get familiar with the odor which is coming out when they burn, because when you go to the scene of crime, then you should be able to make out what smell are you able to detect. The smell of gunpowder, gasoline, rubber, alcohol, the manufactured gas, the linseed oil, turpentine, paint thinners and lacquers have very distinctive odor, and as I told you, in your lab you should get acquainted with the smell of each of these and remember, and even can say before going on hand you can look at these odors immediately so that you know which odor is for what. Or other way around, once you have gone to the crime scene and you have detected a odor, you come back to the lab and try to recall what smell you had smelt at the scene of crime and then compare them with these known smells so that you can detect and analyze that yes, this is the smell of this particular material. Also feathers, wood, hair give off a very sulphurous odor. Vegetable materials may produce acrid or aromatic odor. So all these you should be very familiar with. Searching of evidence or clue material in the crime scene from the area of least damage to that of most damage. That is, when you are proceeding in the crime scene of arson, first search for the material where there has been very less fire which has caught, that is the area of least damage, and after that you go in that area where there has been major fire and major damage. So both of these evidence or clue materials will be very significant in the analysis. According to crime scene layout, a suitable method of searching should be adopted. Searching of evidence at the crime scene such as burn injuries to victims and fire patterns on clothing, you should notice, and wherever you find there is something which can give you a clue, you should immediately take pictures or make videos. Trailers, ignitable liquids or other unusual fuel distribution, for example piles of newspapers, if they are there, then all that should be noted. Incendiary or ignition or explosive devices, for example lighters, matchbox and trigger devices should be immediately recorded. You can also look for the shoe prints and tire impressions, and these shoe prints and tire impressions will also give you clue that how was the person, the size of the foot and the other clues, and similarly what was the nature of the vehicle and how it is. So all this will be very helpful. Broken windows and doors and the way it has been broken, whether from inside or from outside, all that will be again very beneficial in analysis. The distribution of broken glass and debris, because if the broken glass is inside, then it has to, this has been broken from outside, but if the debris is lying outside, then it has been broken from inside. So all this will be very important clue. What are the various containers available? Are they having some flammable material inside them? So all that should be taken note of and collected for further analysis. Trace evidence, for example hairs, fibers, glass, fingerprints, label, blood and other body fluids, they all should be collected properly and they should be further analyzed with various methods. Any other unusual item or the absence of normal contents or the structural components should also be made note of. That is, the things which should be naturally present there but they are missing, you should immediately make note of these items. Moving further, the sample should be collected from the different locations. Proper collection and preservation of evidence or clue materials for forensic analysis should be packed separately and labeled. Each and every evidence or clue material should be separately packed and labeled in clean poly bags. All the evidence or clue material collected from the crime scene must be signed and sealed by the competent authority in the presence of independent witness, and their signature should also be taken. Evidence or clue materials bearing fingerprints must be handled with care, with proper precaution, and here you should wear gloves before collecting them, because your fingers can also impart the fingerprints on them and that can destroy the original fingerprint. So, before touching anything you should be properly equipped, and these fingerprints are very, very important in further investigation of the crime scene. Then you should be, as investigating officer, you should be able to identify the suspect or suspects which are involved and what could be their motive. So, by analyzing the crime scene you can not detect the specific suspect, but what could have been the motive and why the fire was there and who could be the suspects. After you have investigated the various witness, you can also make a note of that as a preliminary analysis. Forwarding of the evidence or clue material for forensic examination must be mentioned clearly, and what type of examination is required in the form of a questionnaire, because you have collected the various evidence or clue material. So, what type of further investigation you want to conduct or get it conducted should be specified. Like if you have got some matchbox, then matchbox could have the fingerprint, so that could be sent for fingerprint analysis, and similarly the other materials. If you have collected the blood, then the blood group analysis and the other information which could be retrieved from blood analysis can be referred to. Further, you have to be very clear about the chain of custody, and as an investigating officer you should maintain the chain of custody. Preparation of interim or final report of investigation after assessing and evaluating the clue material is what you should do. So, you should make a entire report where you have listed out all what you have collected, what you have observed, and what further you are sending for forensic examination, what are the suspects, what is the motive that you have understood by visiting the crime scene of arson, all that you should record in detail. So, that is how you can act as a proper investigating officer. So, dear student, let us summarize what we have studied in this module. As an aspirant forensic scientist, this module deals about how you have to act as responsible investigating officer. The investigation of fire is done by expert from the relevant field that has expertise in fire investigation. The investigating officer has the responsibility of securing the crime scene, and most priority first is to rescue the injured person. Proper documentation and climatic condition and the direction of the wind current has to be recorded. Note making, recording, photography, sketching of crime scene are very important tasks that the investigation officer must do during his or her investigation of the crime scene having arson. Statements from eyewitnesses have to be recorded in written only with their proper signatures taken. Searching of crime scene must be done by a proper way to avoid any kind of evidence destruction. Packing and preservation should be done accordingly to their mandatory requirement. And forward the collected exhibits to forensic science laboratory for examination by specifying what type of examinations you want these evidence to be further going through. After examination, the clue materials will help in identification of the accelerant or the source used to set the fire, as well as in determination of the fire of origin. V-shaped pattern and maximum damage will be present at the site of origin of fire. So, you should make a note and take pictures of this V-shaped pattern. Investigating officer must enquire the facts about the motive or intention of the fire from the witnesses. Preparation of investigation or opinion report will be very clear to the point and conclusive. So, you have to make it in a very responsible manner, noting each and every minute detail. The final task of investigating officer is to deliver his expert opinion under the honorable court as witness. So, it is very important you write down all these things, so at later when in court you are asked that you have to provide all the details, you can mention them with minute details. So, dear students, in the next module we shall understand how further analysis can be done in forensic lab using instrumental methods like gas chromatography of the evidence that you have collected from, and especially we will be dealing with the flammable materials, that is petrol and diesel type, which could have been used as accelerant or the materials to initiate the fire in arson case. So, in the previous module and this module we have focused on arson, and we will continue this in the next module.